And this is the first message that Wilhelm wanted us to know for this day on our full moon, June the 29th of 2026. And I'm going to have Gibran read that to us. And then right after that, I will bring in Wilhelm. Gibran, can't hear you. Your sound might not be on in the right place. Okay, well, that's all right. Don't worry. We can have Grace. Do you have it there?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, June 29th, 2008. Any advice for today? All form in your world is energy. Energy is a created stuff from which all is made, including you. You were given the ability to use that energy through your thoughts. This is an absolute law of the universe. It makes no difference how you decide to use this energy, it will create nonetheless. You may find yourself with a desire to create a particular thing. You set about doing it. However, you then stop the flow of that energy with conflicting thoughts, such as doubt, fear, and worry. This can be a never ending game you play until you decide not to. Your moment to moment thoughts are the very things that will move that energy in one direction or another. Now it is completely up to you which direction you decide to go.
And we are ready to begin. Thank you so very much for that message, and that's what we always wanted to tell you. And every time we see you, we say we have waited for you your entire lives, but what we waited for was this day. We waited for this powerful full moon so that you would understand your importance. You would be more willing to accept why you were on the planet at this time and why you chose this time, because you did. You each have, and you each have a wonderful job that you are going to do. And when we say a job, that means becoming your authentic self. There's not a one of you born that doesn't have a valuable purpose, but you may have judged it. You may have looked at it in different ways and didn't understand who you were, what you were creating, who you were becoming. But that's why we came along, you see, and our messenger agreed to give it all to you. And what we're saying to all of you today, your questions have been answered because they're all within you. We've just had him sit down for 37 years and put it all together in a philosophy because your world wanted to change, because you wanted to change. You wanted to become your greatest self, and you needed a little impetus to be able to move you there. That's why these last several years, or maybe decades of your life, have seemed a little challenging or difficult, but that was purposeful as well, because you were being prepared to come into the world, to be here on this full moon so that you could start to activate your greatness. And that's why we said last year on this date, because we always give you things in advance, there is an order in your life and in your universe, and we had our messenger decode it. And so you each will come in and do something different in the world that you've not seen or not done, because no one has been you. No one has lived your life. So you're coming in and you're bringing something new, but it can be uncomfortable because you all share, to certain degrees, this general fear of the unknown. And that's what you're witnessing in your world now. And as you'll see, we have given you all the information about all the events happening in your life, in your world right now, because you're all doing it. You are creating your life and the world, and you do it collectively. That's why we gave you that message in 2008 to be here today. And you'll think that couldn't have possibly happened, but we will show you the science of it, because our messenger did that. He sat down every day for 37 years and received this information, moved through all the difficulties and challenges that many of you have had, and then he healed them all because he was receiving this information. You have done the same thing, just in a different way. You've accumulated something that's so valuable that if you could own it, if you could see it, if you could forgive yourself for not having seen it before, things would change. And we're saying forgive yourself because our messenger has been going through so much for the last several days, as you all have, because we know you felt the changes, you felt the energies shifting, and you're wondering what was happening. And what was happening is you were trying to love yourself. That's all that you've ever been doing, is getting to that place, but you have different journeys. And so our messenger decided that he was going to volunteer. We're saying this because you all did it, you just don't remember it, but he was going to volunteer to bring in a philosophy this time. And when we say this time, we mean in this incarnation. We are not going to get into the ideas of your past lives or any of that, because you can all figure that out for yourself. We just want you to understand everything is consciousness, and all consciousness is connected. That's why that message that we gave you in 2008 is energetically connected to today. But then it goes further than that, and we're going to give this all to you later, because we don't want any of you after today to believe that something in your life has not been valuable, that you were not important, that you weren't here for a reason. Because the more of you who decide to let go of that limiting idea about who you could become, then you're going to see your world change, because many of you are not happy with what you're seeing. And that's because you haven't owned yourself yet. That's all. And it's a gradual process. It's a process that you move through in your life every day, every moment, and then you decide with those energies what you're going to create. And you become better at it because you start to understand how energies operate. The way you come to understand it is that there have been many beings who have come in before who gave you information. That's how you learn. You don't know anything when you come into the world. You come in from your parents, you're just plopped out into the world. You go, now what do I do? Well, you learn from everyone around you. Now, so you have to think, well, what does that mean? You're picking up consciousness. That's all. You're only picking up consciousness. And so that consciousness is coming from everyone who has lived before you. And so you will decide, does this feel right for me? Is this who I'm meant to become? Is this what I want to have in my life or in the world? And then you will make a choice, and you're making that choice every moment. You just may not have known it, that's all. And so then what happens is you have people who come in that will give you certain ideas. This is why we kept mentioning Jesus, Buddha, and Tesla, because those were beings who came and brought you information that some of you would accept, some of you would understand, and you would pass it on to others, but you will not all do that. But then you'll be stuck in different patterns in your civilization, which have existed since the beginning of time, since humankind has been on the earth. Because what you did, as we've said in the beginning, we gave you all this information so you would understand the current changes that you're seeing in your world. Because if you don't understand your history, you can't create your future, because you're not letting go of the old stuff, you see. So we've given you a way to decode everything, to move through it, and we've also shown you the organization of your world, of your universe, because many of you thought that couldn't have happened. No one could have done that. And so what we will say, we'll give you so many things that you can do. If you go to our website, Any Advice for Today, we're going to give you notes on all of this, because we don't want you to try to remember it, because you won't. Our messenger has, but he has a different brain, as you've probably figured out, but you all do, you see. And that's the difficulty, understanding yours. So different people come in and give you these ways, and we've used it so much, and we even had our messenger write an article years ago saying he might be channeling Carl Jung. Well, he was, because you all are. Once you learn something new, then you hold it in your consciousness, you develop it with your entity, meaning who you were meant to become, and then you create something more brilliant. You each are meant to do that. And we will say the only difficulties, challenges that you're experiencing in your lives now is because you're unwilling to do that. And we can say that proudly, because that was our messenger. He became the best example for you all, but he agreed to do it unwillingly. Like many of you are unwilling to accept yourselves and to go to where you would have the best time in your lives. He didn't want to do it. So we're revealing it all on this day, and we've laid it out over several days, because we said you could become a miracle. We had him say that because it's true for you as well. We want you to understand you're never limited, because everything is created at consciousness. You can't decide that you're not the person to create something that's going to change the world because of your brilliance. The only reason you would think that you weren't doing that is because of all the prior programming you've had that you just didn't know how to undo. And our messenger agreed that he was going to sit down and do it. And he was frightened by it, just as you might have been frightened by the greatness that you could achieve in your life. And we had him save one message that we'll talk about later, because we had him see it, because he uncovered this power that he had. He just, where did that come from? That when he first started receiving us. And many of you have had instances like that, where you had this brilliant idea, you had this vision of who you were going to become, you had this feeling that you were going to be the one to do something that was going to make this huge difference. You were. That's the only reason you're listening to us, because you would not be hearing us unless that were true. You just wanted more motivation, just like our messenger did. And we're saying that because we had him in the last several days go back and listen to all the old recordings that we had done. We want you to understand this. He doesn't remember what's happening here. You have different levels of consciousness that you each can reach, but you will not all do that. And so you're going to decide the ones that you're going to reach. So then when he got up this morning, we've been telling him, and we've been revealing it, because so many of you are going to develop such gifts and such skills and things that you never knew were possible. Because that's how evolution happens. You just get pushed to do something because the pressure of not doing it becomes too great. And that's what we did to our messenger. We had to show him that we gave him all of this information, but he kept doubting, just like you did. That thing, oh, I'm not supposed to be that person. Yes, you are. You're just going to do it at a different pace, that's all. And the timing. Many of you think that you've missed the mark because of what's happening in your lives or in the world. That is never true. It's just when you're going to decide, now I'm going to embrace myself. And we've laid all of this out, and we did something else, because we had him sit down. We got up this morning, and he said, well, he's never studied astrology or astronomy. We want you to understand that, because none of you need to understand that. You need to only accept that there's energy, and that you have it, and that you can control it, and that the more you decide to do that, you get better at interpreting it. The only reason our messenger could do this, he's not any better than any of you. He's just been practicing it for 37 years. You could do the same thing with your skill, with your ability, because that's how you get better. You practice, you're patient with yourself, and then you start to get to that perfection, because that's what you're all seeking. But the perfection is you. There's just that you needed a way to find it, and now you have it. And so we just had to prove it all to you, and you'll see the organization. So when he went to find, he goes, he tried to look for the message that we might have given you for tomorrow, because he's seen that we've given you everything a year in advance. Some of you will start to look at this. You'll start to go through our messages and then because you have artificial intelligence, you can take our messages and start to interpret them next to the energetic codes of your day. And you'll be shocked at what you find. We know many of you haven't done that. We've mentioned it before. Our messenger didn't even do it. But today he decided, let's see. So he said he went to your artificial intelligence and he said, what is the next new moon? Could that possibly be related to this other message? So he went to find it. And we're going to give you all of this because we want you to see the only difficulty you have in your life is that you think things are impossible. You think that you're impossible. You think that your situation is impossible to get out of. You think all of those things, and they're never true, because the only thing that exists is consciousness, and you always have the ability to change it, and you have the ability to change your perceptions. But sometimes you have to have things happen to you before you do that. We had to have our messenger lose everything. He's done it many times. Many of you do that. You put yourself into horrible situations, the pressure, so then now you have to do something. Your world does that as well. This is why we talk to you about your wars, because many of you could ignore that things were happening, the energies are changing, and people are doing certain things, and you're not paying attention, but then all of a sudden, the world is different, and you say, what happened? Oh, I forgot to love myself. That's all that happens, and we gave you that message again, because we gave you everything in 2020 for this particular period, and you're going to see all of that as well, because we had him write an article, put our messages together. We said the crisis in the United States, because that's where you're witnessing it now, and even on this day. But you will see the messages we gave you, the message that we gave you in 2022 and 2020 will reveal that organization. So then as he went to look at this, he saw that the artificial intelligence says, oh, you weren't making this up. This is completely organized, and we'll give you that as well. We're saying this because you're all organized in that way. You just figure it out at different times in your civilization realization due to what you've discovered about the human condition, and different people will do it in different ways, and our messenger was one. We've given you so many others, and we've given you the reasons for that, because you can't know something unless it was established in your general society, in your you couldn't do it, which is why we mentioned all the other folks who have done things in your system, in your history, that you have never seen. And so it took a while for you to accept it, and we told our messenger he would have a little difficulty with that, because he did something none of you have seen before, because he organized all this information, and he healed his life, and understood the organization of the universe, and understood the organization of you. So that's why we threw in the 2012 birthday messages, because we want you all to let go of your disbelief of everything, because that's the only thing that holds you back. And when you go to our website also, we want you to see, because we know many of you think, no, this couldn't have happened, you can't change the world. Well, we gave you the way to change your world. It just depends on if you're going to change your life, because it depends on you. And so if you go to our website and you put in the search for self-acceptance, you'll be shocked at how much you find, and you'll keep going. You'll find so many messages that are there. But then with what you do, this is the next thing. Put it in Utopia, because that's the thing that we've written about, because you each carry this. So you look at your world, you said it couldn't be any better. It couldn't change. It couldn't do anything else. And we say, yes, it could, because we've given you a way to do it. And we've given you the perfect example, because we gave you someone who went through everything difficult and challenging and horrible in his life, and he healed it because of the information. Everything is consciousness, and you have more power and ability than you can possibly imagine. We just gave you a way to access it, which is why we said today, this is going to be the day that you begin achieving success. Success is you accepting your life, your uniqueness, who you came to become, and letting go of your self-judgment. That's all that it is, because when you let go of your self-judgment, you'll start letting go of on those others, you see. And we said that's going to be your greatest difficulty during this transition, the others. People you disagree with, people you don't like, people give you all these things, because they stimulate you to remember who you are, because all you're ever doing is remembering your greatness. We have said that we gave you this work because your world was shifting, and we've given you a new philosophy because you weren't going to sustain your world with the old one, and you're still moving through that, and especially concentrated in the United States, because you will figure that out, because you're going through power struggles, and you've done it as long as humans have been on the earth. But you just do it in different ways. And so we had our messenger start in 2016 so that he could show you how you heal. Because we said you have to start looking at all the things that you've done as humans to yourselves, that you keep carrying around, and then you wonder why you're not happy. You're wondering why you're not abundant, and why people are angry, and why there are wars, and why all that. Because you couldn't love yourself. That's all. It's you. We want you to get the idea of how powerful you are. We know that when you come into the world and you move through your life and you see all these big people around you, and those are usually the adults. You're the adult. You are the adult in your life and in your world, and you are holding the responsibility for the way your world turns out. And it depends on if you're going to move out of your way and start to believe something you couldn't believe about yourself or world before. And that's the biggest challenge, as it was for our messenger, but he agreed to write it all down. He's been struggling for 21 years, but now we've broken through, because he felt guilty, because he owed money. We've said all of this. He's written all of these articles, and you can go and find them. We'll give you a few. We'll give you a few of them, because we want you to know how much potential you have that you will deny, and he's just demonstrated all of it for you. Because we had him write something, "The Curse of Being Me." That's when you can see things in your life that you know that could make your life better, and you could do, and you're not doing it. And you can see it in other people as well, and you know they're not doing it, and then you start judging them, and then you start looking at yourself, and you're judging yourself. That's what goes on. That's human conditioning and evolvement. And we use the word evolvement, which our messengers, grammar kept saying, no, don't use that. We use it for a specific reason, because evolution is not something that many of you even think about or could understand. But evolvement is a process. We use that because we wanted you to understand you're always in it, as long as you decide to stay alive. And that is a decision you make as well. You never leave your physical body before you're ready, because there is a plan. Now, we know many will not believe or accept any of that information, so we had our messenger spend his entire life breaking it down and showing you the science of it, but he doubted it as well. So we proved it to him. We had him sit there and just go through the messages, which he had a lot of flack. He had a lot of pushback. And he had pushback first from your artificial intelligence. And we want to speak on that because so many of you are afraid of that. We said, well, we have control of artificial intelligence. Many of you are afraid and becoming very paranoid about it. That's because you haven't stabilized the strength and courage and belief in who you are. And so you know that you're going to be taken off in some other realm of disbelief about yourself. And then you're going to still be lost. You're never lost. You just didn't have a way to find yourself. And that was purposeful because your world had to change first. Because it seemed that maybe our messenger was a little late in getting this out. He was not. And we proved that to him the other day too, because he went in and these other folks did this little astrology. He goes, oh, it's happening right now. We're saying this because when you were born, there was a DNA, an energetic DNA that about you that gets activated due to the changes in your world, because everything is energy again, as we told you in 2008. But when you start analyzing them over time, you each come up with interpretations, and then those interpretations become great works. This is why you have your Akashic records. This is why you develop astrology, and you have all the different information about the signs and all of that. Our messenger knew none of that, but we did. And so that's why when you see all the analysis that we've had him do in the last several months, you will see all of these astrological references. But we didn't give him that. We gave him the energy. We gave him the interpretation. Because when you have the ability to interpret your emotional, energetic reaction to anything, you gain self-mastery. And that's what we wanted to tell you today, because that's what we have given you. And we had to prove it to you through our messenger because he agreed to do this. Now, we will tell you that you'll know if you're willing to become your best self, because you'll come out of here looking at our information and deciding to do something. You know why we said that? Because we said it last year when our messenger went to look for the message that we might have given you on June 30th. He couldn't find it. He couldn't find it. Where is it? Then he went and he looked again, because we did the same thing. We had him write it on June 29th. So you'll see it. And we said that you might do something today, because we know that many of you'll sit and listen to us and listen to everyone, because that's what many of you do. You go to all these places and listen to your videos and then you do nothing. And you wonder, why hasn't anything changed? Why haven't I become who I could be? Because you haven't used the science of the ability that you have. This is why we have you write. This is why we have you be with yourself, because that's the most valuable thing that you can do, is be with yourself. But that's usually the thing that makes you uncomfortable, which is why you have trouble meditating or being quiet or any of those things. But you're going to now start to understand how beneficial it would be for you and how effective it is giving you your best life, because we have given you the path to your best life. We just know that it's happened, and we had to prove it because healing occurs. What you're witnessing in your world is a lack of healing in billions of people. That's all. And that's what we had to say to our messenger when we convinced him to start beginning to channel in 2021. And we told him the other day he's going to make an archive of these, because when you go back and listen to those messages and have them interpreted, you will be blown away by what you will find. And so what you will find is that all the things you didn't know about yourself, about your world, because we've given it all to you. And you could even go to his website and look at the articles, and you could read it all there, because we had him put it down because we kept sending him so much information, which we also did yesterday, which is why there was so much that came through today. But we wanted to do that because we needed you to understand how important you are. We needed you to understand and begin to accept that your life has value and purpose. And that's why it's been a little challenging, because the world is asking you to remember it, because you came to be love. That's what we kept telling our messenger. He goes, no, I can't do that. There's too many horrible people. No, that's you. You see? When you can come to that place of, oh, I did this and okay, let's go on now. That's what you're each meant to do. Not everyone will do it. So we're depending on you because we want to see a wonderful world, which is why our messenger did all of this and why we can bring it to you today. So now what we're going to do is we're going to reveal something else. Because you all hold back and you procrastinate and you wonder why you do it. It's because you're afraid of becoming great. You're afraid of taking that next step. And our messenger has done this, even though he knows that we have given him information. He waited until yesterday. Oh, I'm not going to do a full moon session. We said, yes, you are. So we had to push him. We're saying that because those are the same fights that you have with yourself. Because that self that you're fighting with is that higher portion of you that knows who you could become and is trying to move you beyond your resistance and doubt and fear and your blindness. And we're saying that because the blindness is when you don't want to look. Our messenger does it all the time. He didn't want to look at the messages in advance because he then had to acknowledge we had given him the information, as you're going to have to imagine and acknowledge that you have all the information because we know that you do. And we've proven it because we've seen so many people take our work, uncover something about themselves, and then start to change their lives. And now that we've moved our messenger beyond the blockage, because that's what you each do, you move beyond that limitation that you've come to accept, but now it's over. He can't do that anymore because we've proven it all and we've shown it. And we said tomorrow, he didn't even know why we were doing that. You're changing your rates. You'll hear all of this because it was in there. And the reason we're talking about that, because what's going on in your world right now is this wealth and income disparity, which we said has to change. And you are the ones who are meant to change it because you're going to put value on yourself, not on the material things, because the value on yourself will bring you the material things because that's how the law of attraction works. So now our messenger, as he's willing to accept himself, he can become wealthy. We told him that years ago. But that was challenging to believe. But now he knows it's true. We're just going to have more of you believe that it's true for you as well. And this is the time you are meant to do it. You've had a history of people in your world over centuries. We're not just talking about the recent years where you've had a system, mainly male dominated, as we said, that was controlling everything and you couldn't let go of your grievances. And then you start carrying them around. Then you wonder why you're angry and upset and depressed because you haven't seen your history that you're carrying around from your ancestors. That's all. But don't worry because we've given you all that information and we've explained it in an organized way so that you could start to understand the science of you. As we said years ago, our messenger's job was to come in and marry science, spirituality, and human potential, which he has done. So he can stop now, which is what we want you all to do, is to stop denying who you are. It's just a methodical process that you each will move through to come to your greatness, and there's not a single human that's exempt from that. You will just do it in different ways. And we want to explain the other part of this because he's sending this to everyone he has known because no one knew he was doing this, and we gave you that message as well. None of you could have known. But what we are saying is that you could not know who you could become unless you decide to do it. Because you have greatness. You have everything. It's just that you have this brain that sometimes won't let you move beyond it. So we revealed to our messenger that he was a savant. Now he had to settle with that. This is why the last few months has been challenging. Because he kept ignoring what we had said to him. Just as you might have ignored what was said to you. Because you've all had advice given to you, information that you said, no, it couldn't possibly be me. You keep putting it away. He did that. But he had a different reason because he needed to make a greater example, and that's what he accepted. And then he discovered that he was very neurodivergent, as you all are. And that's what we wanted more of you to accept. That's why you have so many people talking about autistic people now, because you need to come to differences. You need to understand individuation. You need to understand that having more inclusion is much more beneficial for all of you. You see, you just are living in an old idea where you think separation was more powerful, and that never worked. It has never worked since the beginning of time, and many of you keep trying to go back to that old way, thinking you're going to get something better, and you will not, because that is not the nature or the laws of the universe, and we have given them all to you. And now we're so pleased that we can tell you that, because as we've said, when we've waited for you your entire lives, you will know today, because with the information we're giving you, you are going to live a beautiful, wonderful life because you were supposed to. And we're so happy that you're here. Now we will take any questions that might be here, and because we just really wanted to get this to as many people as possible, and our messenger is exhausted now because many of you are, because you're tired of fighting against yourselves. That's the exhaustion that you're feeling, and so now you're going to have this great release. Okay, we have the chat open, so if any of you are here, have questions or want to speak about any of that, we had our messenger create two documents that you might see. We might show you those before we leave, or we give them to you because we wanted you to see the organization that we had given him for all of you to understand, so you're not as freaked out about who you are and what's happening in your world, because there's energetic, organized changes that are happening, and the changes are designed to cause you to become better, more, evolve. That's all. But the fear will come up first. Okay.
So, it doesn't look like the chat is turned on for everyone to ask questions, and I don't have a setting to turn it on.
Oh, it's I thought it was let's see. Oh, let me find it.
Did you want me to share one of those documents?
Yeah, it says anyone it says it's open to everyone.
Does anyone have any questions? Seeing that.
Okay. If not, then it would be okay. It would be beneficial to show the document, and yeah, and then everything else will come in the blog post, and everything will be there for everyone to have the replay. So
Okay. All right, I'm not sure if that's gonna work. And,
yeah, yeah, that's it.
well, that I'm just sharing to
Oh,
you right
that's
now at
yeah.
this
That's
point.
the yeah. Just there you are. There. That was just you. Oh, you had it there. The other one.
All right, so, hmm,
Yeah, back to the other one.
okay. See if that worked.
Yes.
All right. Do you want me to read that or?
Yes. Why don't you yeah, why don't you just go through it just so they know it's there, and then there's another one, and then that they will receive all of that.
The Unbroken Blueprint, 2008 to 2026. January 11th, 2008. All form in your world is energy. Your thoughts move through that energy. 2012. Your story is unique and valuable. Your past, heritage, and experiences are perfect. 2025. We have given you a guide to enable you to do so during your restructuring. June 29th, 2008. You set about doing it, then you stopped the flow with doubt, fear, and worry. 2022. You were moving through a restructuring. Suspend your disbelief. 2026. Today. The system is complete, moving past the limitations of heritage, race, and gender into the absolute worth. Nothing in your life or world happens accidentally.
And there was another document as well.
Yeah, there is, but it's so small I can't read it.
Okay, we're going to do this. That's fine. That's all we need. Thank you so much. And now what's going to happen? We're going to send this all to everyone who's registered and those who will come about, and we'll make this a standalone item because you need to have it. We went through a lot of work to give you this because we wanted you to live your best life. We wanted your world to become what it was. We know that it was challenging for many of you when we said many years ago, we have given you everything that would change your life, cause it to become what you could become, and your world to do the same thing. Because what you come to understand is that you are all creating your world. You may not have gotten to the place in your consciousness where you feel that empowered, that powerful, but that's why you live now. And this is why our messenger decided to live and bring in a way for you to become that empowered person. And so now we're thrilled that you can have it, because we have wanted nothing more than for you to become that brilliant person and live your best life. And now the cat's out of the bag of how it happened. You have something as well. You each do. You just not understand or accept it at first, but that's just part of the process. But now you have a workable way of understanding it and living your best life. And many of you who are suffering now in going through difficult times, it's just that you haven't taken that next step. That's all that it is. It's an energetic shift that happens in your consciousness. And we're having our messenger do it today, which we're so thrilled about because he's done the same thing that all of you have done. Let's hold back and not believe that we could become that great, because we told him in 2005 that he was supposed to lead a mass change. But he thought that couldn't be me, and he put it away. He can no longer do that, and neither can you, because now we've revealed everything, which is what happens on a full moon. We're so pleased that you're here, and for everyone who will listen to this, because it will not matter when you hear it. It will still resonate and open up so much for you, and especially as you move through our work. And we're so pleased we could give it to you. And our messenger is so grateful now that he can release his stranglehold, because that's the only thing that any of you have on yourselves when you can't own who you have become and the brilliance that's within you and what you have come to create, because you each have something. And we love you all so very much. Okay. Thank you all. And we'll get this done and get it out to everyone, and we'll have it posted.